I have like a fully functional studio out situation, and Talia has all of the like business shit on lockdown. So we became this kind of skeleton crew triumvirate that could like really handle the entirety of the informatics side of making records in the modern business. Yeah, so we got Jose had oh gosh, I guess it was like, I don't know how much of this stuff should be in the world, but here it is. Let's just go full honesty. He got a hit up for a sync from IKEA, like close to the end of his deal. That was like 40 racks or 60 racks for a Europe EU commercial, and like that shit went immediately back to his fucking advance. And then we got a call from Ava DuVernay for that show When They See Us. They wanted a piece of music for the main on end on the last episode. That's when the like the main on end is what they call it when you like fly out to the credits over some text before the picture really ends. And importantly, that's differentiated in the music business and the film side because you have to have a song. If you got a song in a movie that's Oscar eligible, it has to be over picture. It can't be over the credits. So main on end can be important for Oscar eligibility or whatever. So this is just some to file away, kids.
Nice.
Yeah. So it was going to be awards eligible, all this shit. And they had that artist Her on deck. Aaron Bird was music supervising the episode, who's also a homie of Jose's, and I know a little bit. And Ava and Aaron are big fans of Jose's. When the thing Her fell through because she's on Universal, and Universal was taking a very hard line on the sync finer points of the sync contract. And so Bird reached out to Jose and was just like, hey, look, like, do you have anything that might work for this? So Talia is also a wonderful songwriter. So Jose and Talia and I wrote a song for the main on end. And like between the three of us remotely, like there in Europe, we produced it and realized it and arranged it and like had a master ready in like 3 days.
Amazing.
And like production loved it, Ava loved it, Aaron loved it. It was playing in the cut, and then when it came to when they found out that Jose was still on Blue Note, ergo Universal, it was the exact same deadlock that a much frankly bigger artist was dealing with. So they just hard passed. And then that also happened to coincide with the week that Nipsey Hussle was killed. So they put a Nipsey song in, which everybody involved felt like was the right thing. But still, you know, this, and I think that IKEA thing and this main on end thing for When They See Us happened like inside of 3 weeks or some shit. And so he had one more option with Blue Note, but was just kind of feeling like it was the right time for him to move along. He was also getting rights reversions from Brownswood, the label in the UK that he did his first 2 records with Giles Peterson. So he wanted to, initially he was talking about, all right, well, let's put together an imprint so I can do the re-releases for these things when the rights revert back. And then that kind of spiraled out of control and became let's make it a place for my artistic work and Talia's artistic work, and we can sign artists if we want to. And I was making some artistic work with another collaborator of mine. And so it quickly became this kind of hub because we had the sort of informatics supply chain side of it locked down. Like I have relationships with vinyl cutting engineers and know how to deal with that. And Talia has like tight relationships with distributors, and Jose knows radio promo people. And so kind of collectively we had this Rolodex that actually just the 3 of us were kind of enough to put together all the shit that we needed to do to get it popping.
When did this happen? When was it formed?
I want to say 3.5, 4 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, something like that. Like I think the year before quarantine.
Back in the good old days.
Yeah, the simpler, back in the Garden of Eden.
Yeah.
Before we had tasted the fruit of vectors.
Yes, exactly. Wow. So do you guys take on like a ton of artists? Are you mixing actively for this record label? Is it a big part of what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, or is it kind of more to the side of all of your day-to-day work?
Yeah, well, gosh, that's a good question. Day-to-day, my life is so fractious. I would say that this was like a lower priority overall thing for me in terms of my total day-to-day engagement. But also, like, I was just doing a record keeping the other day, and I realized in 3 years I had turned in 156 masters.
Wow.
So this was just like my part-time on the side fun thing with my friends, and I had like made that amount of work in 3 years time and was like, maybe I should nap.
Yeah. That's like 50 tracks a year. That's like a song a week.
That's actually absolutely what it is. Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And that was just kind of, like I said, like something that I was taking on with my homies and wasn't really building my like larger plans as a producer around. You know what I mean?
When you're doing this stuff, you're mixing strictly, or are you doing production, mixing, mastering, the whole thing?
All of it. I produce, engineer, and mix, arrange on most of the records. I write on most of the records. I'm performing on most of the records.
Whatever is needed from your skill set, basically.
Yeah, like I said, I've been playing music since I was 12. So I've been actually a musician for much longer than I've been an engineer or producer, and I think that informs my approach from a top-down perspective. And in the last several years on a day-to-day, like mostly what I've been focusing on is composing, is writing, actually. I sort of feel like if you're a musician, and especially if you're an artist, and if you are multidisciplinary, like in the age in which we are living, there's like greater rewards for hyper-specialization. And sort of more obvious rewards for hyperspecialization. But I would offer that, like, for my career and the way that it's shaped up, not that anyone should try to emulate what I'm doing, but the breadth.
Well, you work on a lot of good and cool music, so
that's the thing, man. It's
that's something to be. There's something to be said about that.
The breadth of my engagement is the way that I stay interested too, right? Like, I don't know. I mixed the score for the last 2 Madden video games also, and like have. Additional music on the last one as well, so like Madden is a completely different kind of turnaround. Like Electronic Arts has their own proprietary in-engine audio engine, so I have to like turn over for their crazy deliverables, and I'm delivering like 5.1 stems, so I'm printing 156 track wide outputs, and then like I'm jumping over and making like a neo soul record with my jazz homies, and then I'm jumping over and making a fucking, I don't know if you checked out any of that Bing and Ruth stuff, but like, a super beautiful, minimal kind of impressionistic record, or I don't know. So that keeping it moving like that, I think for me, like it would be the death of my soul if I just became known as like the guy that's the best at making purple music. If you need purple, call him, Purple's a bad choice for colors because of the Prince association. I would be happy to be Prince guy, but you feel me? Like if I had to exist solitarily in one genre or engagement, I think my interest would wane pretty quickly. And solving new problems in turn brings all the information for these kind of disparate but overlapping disciplines back together,
I totally dig that. I mean, there was a moment there where I kind of felt like I want to specialize. I want to, like, maybe mixing is what I could do like almost entirely.
Sure.
And I found that, there was a period where I was doing a lot of mixing and I wasn't doing much of anything else, and it kind of felt like a job after a little bit.
Yeah, right.
And I realized I need a little bit of that, production thing also to kind of complement it. But if I do too much production, it just takes up it's like almost like it's too much of an emotional suck for me. Like,
sure.
As like a, as a parent and a husband, it's just like, all right, I already have a family.
Right.
Productions can kind of turn into like separate, like, big relationships in that sense.
Yeah, you're taking on the psychological role as well. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, it ends up becoming your baby also. And then you feel like, then you get perfectionistic and you put in the extra hours and you want to. So it's like I need a bit of that, but I can't have too much. I'm finding I can't have too much of that, but I do need some of it,
Sure, yeah.
To kind of, like you said, to keep you engaged, give you that kind of like, that, I have like a Yiddish phrase in my mind, but like, just that desire for life,
What's the Yiddish?
Like, that's I don't know, I guess just zest is the word I'm really thinking. Yeah, that zest for, yeah.
Anyways, I was hoping to get some more good Yiddish from you.
I think it was Ziesfleisch.
Ziesfleisch?
But Ziesfleisch. I'm not even sure if that's real. It's just maybe what like my parents said or something.
Got it. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I just sort of feel like there's no one way, Like if some people I know like are just stoked editing effects. Like if that makes you stoked, then like run after it. If it makes you stoked to be the like best tenor clef arranger in town, like get it, But I don't know. For me, like I said, I'm more akin to you. Like I like solving different kinds of problems every day, and I like bringing the depth of experience from one kind of thing to something else, and really there's nothing that makes me happier than like standing at the precipice of an ocean of my vast ignorance. So like, you know what I mean? Like if you get to like figure out that you're excited about something new, what's cooler than that?
Yeah, that's the best. I mean,
Right?
that's why we do it, right? Totally. So kind of given what I said about like, when you are doing a breadth of things, it kind of sucks a lot of time, and it's hard to, I don't know, how do you manage like your work-life balance? Is there a work-life balance? How do you kind of
Oh, yeah. I
do
mean,
it all?
Totally inappropriately. I don't have a child. We have a dog. I've been in a relationship for 10 years, so we've like settled into we have a pretty cool rhythm, but especially for these last couple of years, the vacuum that my social life once filled in was happily replaced by work.
Happily replaced.
Sure, yeah. And I mean, I might say that, I turned 40 this year. I'm still probably doing like on average 65, 80-hour weeks,
But you're happy with it.
I love it, man. Yeah, if people want to pay you to do your favorite thing, it's hard to say no.
Yeah, that is definitely true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that seems to be like a common thread of people that do work that many hours in our industry, is that they, at this point, like the information is out there that if you don't want to, you don't have to.
Sure.
But it's like, if you love it so much and you're just all about it and it gives you joy, then you don't have to have that kind of work-life balance. Like
Sure.
That's fine. That's true.
You're
entitled to whatever makes you happy.
I would offer that the word entitled there is sticky in terms of if there might be like a point of elevation in the industry that you might have to shed your willingness to have that much agency.
Right, sure. Sure.
And
Sure.
I have found like on
That a decade in, let's say. Right?
yeah,
Like,
you know what I mean? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm very much for me, like, I find like in the film shit, people expect a reply within an hour. You know what I mean?
really?
Yeah, just on average, it doesn't have to be like a full on, like, here's your needs fulfillment, but, what's up? So
Yeah. Everybody's WhatsApping you.
Nobody WhatsApps me, man. I don't have fucking WhatsApp. I don't fuck with WhatsApp.
Oh yeah, America's the last country that doesn't use it.
Everybody else, I know all my European friends are like, get WhatsApp. And I'm like, iMessage works internationally. They just text me.
Some people have Androids, me included. But
oh, that's true.
fair
That's
enough.
why we communicate on Instagram. Another text chat
Right.
messenger that I have, or email, another text chat messenger that I have. I feel so platform agnostic at this point. I just don't have a critical mass of friends that use WhatsApp, and personally find the GUI very ugly. So
Fair
that's
enough.
why I take a dim view on it. But all my Turkish homies on WhatsApp, all my European homies on WhatsApp, you're on WhatsApp.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to survive without WhatsApp. Like literally, everything in Israel is on WhatsApp.
Right.
All my clients WhatsApp me. Like,
Right.
That's where I'm at. I have to be.
Right.
But
Right.
what are you gonna do? But in America, you guys are still on SMS, so good for you.
MMS. Apple.
MMS. Oh, Apple.
Yeah.
Apple is it.
iMessage. I was on Android
iMessage.
for the last several years, but I jumped out and got a fucking iPhone this year. I folded. I went
Yeah.
back. Yeah.
I was when Clubhouse was becoming a thing. I was like, damn, all these iPhone users getting on Clubhouse. This seems like an actual cool spot. And then apparently it fizzled out anyways. And
Yeah. I am not much one for sort of digital nationalism in that way, but I will say that there was a surprising amount of feedback that I got from my friends that were like, oh, it's so nice to see you texting Blue again. Like, that's some weird kind of nationalism that I don't understand.
So these days, how much music that's not for film are you working on, and how much of it is just like film work, scores, mixing scores? What does the breakdown look like?
I'd say it's pretty across the map. So, I mean, just for the last couple of months, for example, I co-scored a sort of like filmic adaptation of Questlove's podcast with Kris, and we did like a shared card, and I wrote half the music. It's like a thing that Questlove did in partnership with Balvini. So that was writing and mixing. Then I produced Talia's record, which will be coming soon. That was I had recorded it here, and then several months went by. She did vocals in New York. She was going to get an orchestra, and then that ended up turning into like just do overdubs. So I did a bunch of writing and arranging and overdubs and mixed it all. And then did a bunch of like beat making and additional production for Kris for they're doing a new roller coaster at like Euro Disney. So yeah, I did a bunch of beat making and shit for him for this roller coaster at Euro Disney.